God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
As always, we want to go through our brief announcements, then we'll get right into our guests. So as you see on the screen, I always want to keep at the forefront of our mind for the viewers and those who constantly watch the show why we do what we're doing. You see in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's words, there's a letter. This is an excerpt from a letter that he actually wrote to George Bush Jr., right? When he was president. This was in December 2000, I believe it was 2001. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talked about how, I'm paraphrasing, he told the president then that he was writing him from a prison. And the minister said, not a prison that is a prison without bars, right? And he said he's in a prison because of the passion that he has for the truth and justice from which he speaks about. And as a result of that, they put propaganda out that has placed our minister, well, in this prison in some people's minds as being anti-white, anti-Christian, anti-Semitic, anti-gay. And as the minister says, and I bear witness, as many of you all are, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is far from any of those false titles. So we have this show, I Have a Testimony, that's aimed at, one, bringing people on who can do what the Bible says. And it says that the dragon was defeated by the blood of the Lamb and the power of their testimony. And I'm the type of person, I always try to measure the impact of the work I'm doing, whatever I'm a part of. I try to have some type of way that you can measure it. So we did a survey when we first started, and it still reigns true today. I believe the percentages, if we did it, it will go up even higher. That over 90% of the people who have watched these testimonies say that it has helped them in their personal faith. It has helped them as a believer, and not everybody who submitted or responded to this survey were Muslims. And what I like, it also says 90% of them said that it has helped giving them a better understanding of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I will personally say it is extremely important for all of humanity to have a proper view of that man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If you see some of the comments, I won't read them to you. You have some of the comments where we took from the survey where people are talking about how the testimony benefited them, right? They talked about how it helped them to get a better understanding of the minister, and also how they were also inspired by the actual testimony of those who were testifying. It inspired them. Like this person said, it made them want to keep striving for excellence no matter how hard life gets. So we thank you all for tuning in, and we want to just encourage you all to go to our YouTube page. You see it on the screen. It's going to be coming up, the Mosque 46 AV, and please hit that subscribe button. Also go to our Instagram page at Mosque_46 and subscribe button as well. Now, one of the benefits of you subscribing to our YouTube page is that you have the opportunity to have access to this very powerful playlist that will help you to do, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, hurl truth at falsehood. With these, it has all of the information you need to combat, to explain how the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is not an anti-Semite, right? And also we encourage you, if you go, you can get this information playlist regarding information that you can use to help somebody really understand that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had nothing to do with the death of our brother Malcolm X. So that's one of the benefits, and we're constantly uploading content on that YouTube page. In addition to that, we're in this COVID, and it talks about prayer. You know, the numbers of the people impacted by COVID is on the increase. So if it's COVID related or not COVID related, what we feel one of the least things that we can do for you is say a prayer on the behalf of you, your family, or anybody else has been negatively impacted during this COVID pandemic, or just life in general. So make sure you submit the name of your relatives or whoever it is that we need to pray for. And in addition to that, brothers and sisters, we're in the midst of a drive to eliminate the debt, the mortgage for our mosque, Muhammad Mosque number 46, that ironically sits on the corner of a lost down man. So if you say it slowly, a lost down man, and this is the number one place where a lost down man in the city of New Orleans needs to visit, Muhammad Mosque number 46. So you can make a donation via Cash App, and you can make a donation via our mosque GoFundMe page as well. And as we get ready to get into this interview, we want to remind you that on next Sunday, inshallah, we're going to have our brother, the greatest entertainer, the original beatbox, the human beatbox, the original human beatbox, as they say, our brother Dougie Fresh will be on here to give his testimony. But tonight, brothers and sisters, we have a brother who is, you're going to know about him. If you don't know about him, you're going to know about him today. It's our brother Michael Amir, who's going to be on, and we're going to hear his testimony, to hear his story. So he's a co-founder of NFA Studios. He's a Muslim, and he is also an aid and helper to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So let's bring up our special guest, our brother Michael Amir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How you doing, God?
By Allah's grace. First, brother, thank you for allowing us to have this opportunity to interview you on this show. And man, we're just what's the word I want to say? We're just happy, delighted, right? And we'll get right on to it. First, were you born in the Nation of Islam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First, before I jump in, I really want to thank you. Really, I'm honored, that you would reach out and to share your platform with myself about what I'm doing and my testimony. So I appreciate it. I thank you. I'm honored, and I look forward to this interview. Shout out to your team. It was great to see how professional you are and how you're growing, and what you're doing is growing, and Allah is blessing you for doing the work. And shout out National Network View. I see that too. I see you got that logo up there. So it's good to see the believers working together and being productive. So yes, sir.
And I got to give my shout out to our brother Mike 2X for helping to bring that sharpness to it. And also we got our new brother Reginald from Chi-Town. Y'all know who he is. We salute to you all. These are the people behind the scenes that's making everything go. So you were born in the nation. Like, man, how was that, being born in the nation and then just striving to be a Muslim in this type of society in which we live in?
Great question. Yes, sir. I was born in the nation. To my mother, Sister Gladys, or now Doctor, proud of her, Dr. Gladys Muhammad, and my father, Brother Omar Muhammad. And they instilled Islam in me at a very young age. My mom and my dad, both under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I think, my father, a lot of my growing up, because my father was in the early days while the minister was rebuilding. He was one of the few with Dr. Khalid, Brother Waheed, and the minister. Really in the early days, he was there. But he was he's a hell of a brother. And a lot of the time of me growing up, he was in prison. So my mother, held on to her faith and kept us active, in the nation. And she served as Western Regional Protocol Director. So all through growing up in elementary school, my mother was a regional laborer. So I would just see the ins and outs of the nation. And, she worked very hard and and we lived in the suburbs of Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to school around white people, Asian people. But on weekends, I was in South Central with my brothers, so I think it affected me seeing both sides, seeing, the privileges, white and Asian who come from prestigious, and, we lived in a very nice neighborhood. So to be able to see, at school, my friends, the way they studied, the way they worked, the opportunities they got, and then on weekends to go to South Central and to push in the projects. I think seeing both of those really was impactful on me to wanting our people to have a better life, and to see that every time I would exit the 110 freeway, Manchester, and come down, and even to this day, it looks exactly the same as it looked. And I remember being disgusted as a young man. It's like, man, look at our neighborhoods. And we'll go back to Cerritos and see the beautiful trees and the people walking the dog. And it always hurt me that our people lived the way they lived, and others lived the way they lived. So I think having that foundation, the teachings, and then seeing that just was in me. So as I got older, because you have to accept it for yourself. I went through a phase in high school. I had braids and earrings, and did all type of just out there, just living the life of a normal teenager. But my mother was always a great example, and my father, even though he was in prison, when he got out when I was in high school, he's one of the reasons that I took Islam and accepted it for myself as well. Just wow. His example. So when I got in college, I heard a lecture from the minister, and I remember like maybe 18, I got in the car, I had my big old diamond fake earrings. I took them out and I threw them out the window, man. And I was like, I want to be like him. I want to change my life. And I think another blessing was this happened with all my peers in the nation. We were all the brothers, and it was a lot of young brothers in Los Angeles at the time around my age. I was one of the older ones, but we were all around the same age. And at the same time, we all kind of felt it, and we all just started soldiering. So that saved my life. And that was about 17, 18. I recited at 18 and accepted Islam for myself. And I've been, by Allah's grace, striving to be consistent since then.
Praise be to Allah. And with that, having such a unique experience like that, what advice would you give to the young Muslims today, those teenagers? Because I know, like with me, I didn't accept Islam until my freshman year in college, but I didn't grow up as a teenager having the social media like we have it now. So what advice can you give to those Muslim youth in our nation today?
Man, that's a great question. I was speaking to our national secretary, Brother Saad, beautiful, brilliant brother. Not too long ago, we was just talking about just the youth, and how it's difficult to keep the youth in the mosque, and how they're not a lot. They go to the world quite often, and all our mosques we see it. The advice I would give, sometimes you have to experience it for yourself, but there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there. There's nowhere else to go. And that's what I would tell them. There's really, the most I can do is be an example. And even the young brothers, we have brothers here who work at NFA. One of our youngest is 19, and this is his safe place. So that's what I try to provide, not just tell people, about the world and try to come to the mosque and nation. Tried to create a safe place for them to go, a place for them to be around other believers. Most of us here, everyone here who work here is a believer. I'm the oldest one, so they're all younger. So we try to, even the ones who don't work here, we try to invite them just to be around. And I try to lead by example. The best advice is my life. So I can say a lot of things, but I try to be the example of, when you submit and strive and try your best to live the life of a Muslim, it's way more rewarding than just being out there in the world where there's nothing to go, nothing to do. There's nothing out there for us. And I tell them that, and sometimes they have to see it for themselves, because I've had younger brothers who I grew up with, or who are younger than me, who are in high school and stuff now. And I tell them, and some listen, and some I try to set a good example for, but others have to experience it for themselves. But that would be the advice. There's nothing out there, and I think it's being proven more every day as as we're embarking on this new phase of life with everything happening in 2020. But yes, sir.
And and what advice would you give to parents? Because like you said, most parents have accepted Islam when they were young. And then to give their whole life to something that has changed their lives, they want to see it with their children as well. And that may be hard for them if, from their perspective, it looks like their children don't want Islam, but they don't know what the end outcome is. Well, what advice would you give to parents?
It starts with the example, because your children see everything you're doing, and they are going to believe what they see. So if you're in public, you have this life, but at home you live a whole different life. That alone turns children off. And if they don't see any, I would say that's such a rough question, man, because I'm a father myself, and I think about that all the time, as far as wanting my son to accept this, and to not get lost in the world. I think you have to provide something for your children. I would give them advice as far as putting them in some type of activity that that they can be guided to, that can guide them out of it. Whatever you're trying to keep them out of, if it's gang life, if it's just life itself. Come over, son, you can come sit down.
Yeah, tell them come on in.
My son is here. Let him come on.
Very good. Yeah. So that
you can sit down.
Yeah. You were finished, or you were going to say
no?
More?
Yeah. No. But yeah, bro. That's a heck of a question. To be honest, to be 100% honest, man, I don't have an answer to that question. I've never been asked that as far as advice for a parent. I know for myself, I'm just going to try to be the best example of a follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and show them the success in that, because that it is success in this more than it is in the world. But our children, we see the Jay-Z's, and we see the Drakes, and we see the people in the world, the LeBrons, who aren't followers per se of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, even though they're benefiting off of all the work the nation did without knowing it, but they don't claim him. So to see them successful, to see them living this life, and it's like, man, then you see your nation is struggling. Your nation is raising money just to make ends meet. You can be not understanding it properly. You could be fooled into thinking that is the way. So with me, I'm just trying to show an example of, no, this is the way. And that is the best thing I can tell a parent, is just to be the best example you can. Try to expose them as much to the work of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and it will resonate. It will resonate, and just stay persistent. That's the best advice I have, and that's what I'm trying to do. Just be an example.
That's real talk, man. That's real talk. In preparation for this interview, I came across an article in the Final Call newspaper, and it talked about how on May 11th, 2013, there was a 2.5-hour documentary. I believe it was premiered at Mos Marion, and I was blessed to be there as well. And you were one of the executive producers of the documentary. So can you share with us, how did the idea for the documentary come about, and what was your actual role in it?
Wow, man. That documentary is the highlight will forever be the highlight of my life. And everyone will see when Allah blesses it to be released, and when the minister decides to release it to the world. It's a timing thing. But the story goes back. I'll run through it pretty briefly. I'll try to, but it's a hell of a backstory. But it starts with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and because of how beautiful of a man he is, it touched my life, who had at this point never met him when it was 2007, and I was in Los Angeles. But when Michael Jackson asked for his help, because if people don't know, Michael Jackson loved the minister immensely, and at a certain point in his life, he asked for help, and I was fortunate enough to be recommended to work for MJ, and that's a story in itself. But that goes to my being a student of filmmaking. So I'm a filmmaker, and then me and MJ bonded on that note, because I went to a school, USC. And MJ heard about it. I got to shout out Brother Bashir, because he was head of security, and he told him about me, and we ended up working together. Now, that's a whole story. I worked with MJ as his executive assistant and chief of staff until he passed in June 2009. But when he passed, the minister, of course, came to his funeral, and I was introduced to the minister because I helped arrange everything, because I was MJ's. I was over the pretty much the whole detail with MJ. So when he passed, I was in charge of the funeral and everything. So I was blessed to meet the minister and his son Joshua Farrakhan, who really took me under his wing. But my whole thing with MJ was film. We were planning to do movies. Me and him were going to produce 3 films that we had already written. So when he passed, it was it was rough on me. And the minister really took me and let me, took me under his wing, and his son, Brother Joshua Farrakhan, and allowed me in that vulnerable state I was in to travel with them, to be around them. And that is really what saved me. But my background being in film, coming to the documentary, Brother Josh, his son, had called me and said, so this is years later, this is now 2012. I had been blessed to be with the minister back and forth, traveling for about three years, just on and off, and just being around. When he come to LA, or if he went on a school tour in 2012, I was blessed to go with him. I was blessed to travel with him throughout the Caribbean. So I was blessed to be around the team, and he was familiar with me, and I would like to say comfortable with me, traveling with him and being, in that type of environment with him. So in 2012, I got a call from Brother Joshua Farrakhan, and he said, my father is putting out an album, and we have some footage, behind the scenes footage that we want to put together, a little behind the scenes, maybe 20 minutes about the documentary. About his music. So, I was at a place where I was just like, man, because after working for MJ, you have a good resume, so I'm able to work, pretty much anywhere. So I was at the time working for a filmmaker, Brian Singer. He's a director. He directed all the X-Men movies. Wow. I was working with him, making good money, but I wasn't happy because it was like I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, you're in the line. You gotta sit down or go back there, bro. Where my son comes to my studio with me and just run.
We good, man. I
know. So you want to say hi? Come give him the greetings.
That's what's up.
Say assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Ahad.
Ahmad. My brother. Ahad.
Yeah. All right, I beat it.
He ain't camera shy, I tell you that.
Yeah, no, he's not. So when I got the call, the minister was going to be in Phoenix. He said, come down. I quit. And I was like, man, I'm going to go to Phoenix. And my mom was staying out there. So I went, took my little family. We went to Phoenix. And the minister was staying at the National House in Phoenix, and he told me about the project, his son Joshua. And so, okay, behind the scenes. So I brought my producing partner, my creative partner, to this day. He's one of the co-founders of NFA with me. He's actually here in the studio working right now. Brother Jihad with me. And because me and Jihad, we work on dang near everything together. So I brought him with me and he's an amazing editor. So we are in the palace, in the Phoenix Palace. We're in the little basement area, and Joshua dumps all this footage on the table. Wow. And it's like, we're like, wow. So we take about 2 weeks just going through the footage, watching it, taking notes. And then we come to the conclusion. We say, this is amazing. And, I remember thinking, like, there's no way to tell his story and tell his music properly without hearing his life. Because then his music is his life. And they're one in the same. And I heard that and I seen that. And me and Jihad decided, like, man, let's pitch to the minister that we want to do a documentary on his life. We think we could, with this footage, and we talked about it, we was like, we could pull it off. And we want to do it in a new way. We don't want to do interviews. Let the minister's voice narrate it. We had this whole plan, and we had to pitch this to the minister. So we tell Josh, and Josh is like, oh man, like, okay, well, let's, you got to ask him. So the one day the minister came down and we pitched him the idea, the vision of it. And then he was like, okay, not the exact words, but he was like, okay, well, let's just see what you do. Because he's in Phoenix till Savior's Day. This is January. This is like January, or this is actually December, like December 20 something. And he's in town till Savior's Day. So he's like, well, let's see what you do. Like he gave us the opportunity. So Brother Jihad and I, he would allow us to come to the palace every day. And we was in the palace from sun up to sundown, 12 hours a day, just editing and just putting together this piece. And by the time the minister left, and the minister would come down, he would hang out with us while we edited, look at stuff, and he just trusted us. And that's one thing about the minister. He goes with his spirit. We weren't even confident. We got the spirit to ask him, but he gave us confidence by trusting us. And just to testify what kind of man he is. I didn't tell him I quit my job, to be out here, but I'm out here. My poor family, bless their heart, my wife believing in me, just coming down. My mom letting me stay with her, but I just quit a high-paying job to be here because this is where my heart was at, and they allowed me. But the minister paid us. And that's what kind of person he is. He didn't ask us to come. We asked to do this, and we didn't ask for money, but he still gave us something, enough to survive. So me and Jihad, we were there every day editing, and to kind of cut to it, right before he left for Savior's Day, we wanted to show him what we shot, what we had edited so far, and it was like the first maybe 10 minutes of it.
Wow.
He watched it. He came down. He sat. He watched it. The minister, he had like a serious look. He's looking, so you're scared, like you don't know if he likes it or not. But afterwards, we still have this video. I mean, one day we're going to tell the story. But he just said that if we produce this the way he sees it, based off what he's seen, he said this is going to be a masterpiece.
Wow.
And that gave us what we needed. And we stayed in Phoenix. The minister went to Savior's Day, and we were blessed to go as well. And then we came right back to Phoenix. He allowed us to be at the palace every day, him gone, security gone. We were in the guest house, and we edited every day. And by May, we had completed it. And this is, of course, as correspondence, sending stuff. It was an amazing thing. And we debuted it for the believers, May 11th. We presented it. And since then, it's an entirely different movie because, we did a lot of editing it. We did a lot of shortening it for to present it, just refining it. And the minister, at that point, the minister loved it. I mean, he called and said that, he said a lot of amazing things that touched my heart as far as what the film did. And then, celebrities wanted to get involved, like Kanye West. We went to Kanye's house, and he offered a little assistance as far as ideas, and Russell Simmons, and then that takes us to Netflix, to screening it. We screened it at Russell Simmons' house a couple times, and different celebrities would come, and they would just cry, or they would say, we had Jewish people say they had no idea that he's been lied on like this. He's this type of person, and even for Netflix to want to pick it up, Netflix signed an agreement, and of course, I don't know if you know the story, they ended up, of course, because the powers that be, they had to cave in, but by Allah's grace, that hasn't been released yet, and that is, I wake up knowing one day that's going to come out, and when it comes out, it's over. So I think the minister is just feeling when it should come out.
And Allah is God in this interview, man, because I have 3 questions specifically, and you touched on them broadly, but I want to ask more specifically about them.
All right, let's go. Let's do it, my brother.
That's confirmation for me. So I would imagine, as you said, like going through all of those hours of personal photos, footage, and all of that stuff, right? To see the minister, most of us see the minister when he's on a rostrum or something like that, but from the documentary, it shows him in different settings, family settings. What's one of your most memorable moments about that experience of going through that whole editing process? If you can think of one.
No, yeah. Man, it's just thinking about it is a lot. It was we were there every day just looking at him, in his most relaxed moments in the studio or in his living room. And I remember just thinking, like, he really is who he portrays to be. It's not an act. Like, what we see as he's on the rostrum, that's how he is at home on the couch. He is really sincere, humble, and I think that blew my mind the most, to see him in his most relaxed state and to see like he's really this way. And that blew my mind, because I was blessed to see him in so many different environments, and it was just it's something unexplainable, just that honor, and having to but really I was just zoned in, because it was so much to take in, and I was in creative mode. So when I step back and think about it, it blows my mind of what I've seen and what I was blessed to kind of be a part of. But inshallah, you all will experience it soon. But yes, sir, that's pretty much from it. Just, the impact was like he's real. He's not a faker. You know what I mean? He's not. He walks it and he talks it and he lives it. That's how he lives. So yeah, that is one of the best things I can say about that.
So you mentioned the Netflix thing, and I remember that as well, that they succumbed to pressure, decided not to permit a documentary. And you kind of touched on this, but I would like you to elaborate on it some more. From your perspective, what would you say would have been the potential impact of that documentary being shown to being accessible to the millions of subscribers to Netflix, to see Minister Farrakhan in that light?
It would have been over. That's why I got to be honest. I never thought they would do it. Even after the contract was signed, even up to the day before it was about to be released, it did not feel real, because that movie frees him. I was looking at that quote that you put up in the beginning, and it made me think about the movie, like if he's in jail. And I heard him say, and I don't have exact quotes, but he said so much about the film over the years, but it literally frees him. When people see it, it breaks all the perceptions of lies that they had about him. So for Netflix to put that out to the world, Netflix was about to free the minister, and it would have just changed so much. which is why I didn't get it. I was like, is it this easy? Is Netflix about to put this film out? And they pulled it. But oh brother, if that would have came out, then overnight people would have seen him for who he is. And it's pretty clear after watching it, you know, he don't have to say it, but you see this man's the Messiah. You see this man is he's not no normal man. Because of the way, by Allah's grace, you know, we were blessed to put it together. It's him. It's him talking. It's his experience. Wow. It's not other people saying what you just see him for who he is. It's raw and it's vulnerable and it's beautiful. So yeah, brother, if Netflix would let that, to the moment that the day before, because that's when they cut it, I believe the day before is when they put the press release out. I didn't believe it. I didn't. It was just like, I was excited, but it was like, man, this is too good to be true. But yeah, even the people, it got that far because when we screened it for Netflix at their headquarters, their mind was blown. And those were some top level people, and they were just excited to be a part of putting this man out in front of the world as who he is. That's how we know that call came from. I don't have any facts. I would assume it came from high above because it didn't get played.
And you said that you all had the opportunity to do smaller private viewings to different celebrities, and there were people who were of the Jewish community. Could you think, is there any one impact when we reflect about some of those private viewings where you saw the impact that it had on some people and that stood out to you that you can share?
Oh, for sure. For sure. When we would have screenings, and you know, it would be like different celebrities, different executives from different companies, because you know, it was private screenings, but whoever the host invited, for the most part, the minister would, you know, he wasn't there. It was myself and Brother Jihad. We were the ones hosting the screenings, but yeah, well, it would be people of all different type of races and religions, and afterwards we would have just in-depth conversations about who this man is. They would have so many questions, like, so that was all a lie, and my whole life was this and that, and that was one of the best parts, was after the screening, just seeing everyone's like just shock and who this man is, and having questions and wanting to learn more about him. And that was the main thing, wanting to learn more about him, and just the scales being removed from their eyes and seeing him for, you know, in the light of who he really is. That was a beautiful part. It was a lot of celebrities, and it was a lot of executives, and it was really more of a creative thing. Why we did it, we wanted to get, because we were still refining the film, so it was more of not necessarily the ministers having to show people, but it was like, you know, we still want to refine the film. So he will allow us to get different critics, you know, for like, you know, is this part too long? Because that was the main reason. But what we got in return was, yo, this man is amazing. That was the response. So it was beautiful to witness that firsthand, because I'm a person, my whole life, he's all I know. That's what I know him, you know, as far as growing up, the minister, I grew up believing who he was. And then of course, seeing it for myself. So for people who have some people never heard of him, you know, very few, but the people who heard of him, it was of, you know, racist, bigot, especially anti-Semite. This is the people walking into this room. It wasn't just a gang of friends and fans of the minister. These are people who were skeptical on coming, you know, because it was some executives, some bigwigs, you know. So afterwards, to see, you know, it gets me excited talking about it, because that movie, man, it's amazing. He's amazing. It's just him. It's just him. So, you know, he's amazing. So to see him and his life and hear about, you know, his life and how his life impacted his music, and to see his life through his music, and like you're in the era of him growing up, so you're hearing a song, like this music is the soundtrack of his life. It's man, that the minister is just, you know, words can't explain the beauty of that man. It's really just, you know, God's love in person. You know, that's the best way I can explain it. But yeah, brother, those screenings were something.
That's a beautiful way, and I'm glad that you're here to share that, because you're the first that I've heard share that those type of behind the scene things were happening, and the impact it bears witness, to when people get the opportunity to see the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for themselves. They can't deny that basically the propaganda is bust up. So in addition to the documentary I've researched, you were also, according to the Final Call newspaper article, the product manager for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's CD box set, right? And so what was one of your most memorable moments working on that project?
Oh man, since we had such an in-depth knowledge of the album from doing the film and living it the past few years and doing videos and everything, the minister is I don't know her exact title, but she does a lot. Sister Amina, I guess you could say his assistant, but she's much more than assistant. She, with the minister's, of course, blessing, brought me in to work on the project, and just being involved was such a blessing. Just being at the palace and working on it, and it's just an honor to do anything for the minister. But we were brought in. I recommended to Sister Amina, one of our co-founders of NFA, who was the creative director, Brother Brian, to do the artwork. He flew in, met with the minister. The minister loved his work, and he did the artwork for the box set. And so that was my job. I brought him in. It was my job to find, it's so much went into it as far as the manufacturing of it, and then assisting, because she was I was the product manager. She was the project manager, and she did a great job just leading the team. And I assisted in my lane, and brought a little team to help on the creative side. It was so many moving pieces to that. So my side was more the creative, more the look of it, the feel of it, the book, and the minister was very hands-on. So just to be in meetings and the minister's there, I never got used to it, being around him, so when he would come in the meetings, always nervous, and, but he would come in, he was very hands-on, because it's his music, it's his life, it's his passion. And the music goes hand in hand with the word. It was a part of his mission. It's the reason, he is who he is today. So the music played a huge role. And I just to be a part of that, and to see it come full circle, and it hasn't even hit yet. Like it's still like we're witnessing. This is all before the world finds out who this man is. So just to be a part of this part and a part of that. And if I'm sure you have the box set, or if I recommend, if you don't have it, please get it. Everyone watching, you have to get the box set. You have to hear his music to understand the beauty of it. It's just a collector's item. But yeah, I was blessed to be a part of that project. And then we did a reception at Savior's Day. I don't remember what year that was. That 2018, I think. We did a reception for it.
I believe so.
Yeah. When we released the box set. So to be a part of that, just being a part of history, just being a part of history. But that was working for the minister is an honor that you just don't want to take for granted, and that you want to put your all. And he's such a sincere person. So I believe to be around him, you got to strive to be just as sincere and just as honest and just as hardworking. I tell people I worked with Michael Jackson up close, and he was I was with him every day for 2 years, and he was very hardworking. I mean, he would call me 3 or 4 in the morning because he hurt his foot dancing or something. Like, he was always up. And then I was blessed to work with Sean Combs, Puffy, and he was a hardworking person, but there's no one like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's twice their age at the time, you know what I'm saying? Now he's late 80s. the level of dedication on top of that, leading a nation and bringing in a new world. It's nothing like him. It's unmatched, man. So to witness that, whether it's the box set, whether it's a documentary, whether it's assisting on one of the tours, it's nothing like him, and he does it in the condition he's in. It's really you can't really express you can't really express it in words, bro. You kind of gotta, it's something you have to witness, and then if you witness it, all I can do is kind of tell you what I've seen. It's just,
Exactly.
It's indescribable, that man. So that was the most, so that to bring the question around, to answer the question, it was just working with him, being in his presence was the most memorable thing. And it was an honor to kind of, lend whatever skills I have to help make it a reality.
So you mentioned about your 2 years with working with Michael Jackson, and you mentioned earlier about how much Michael Jackson loved the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Can you share some examples where the audience and the viewers who watch this can know about the love that Michael Jackson had for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the love that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has for our brother Michael Jackson?
Yeah, Michael Jackson, I think they were, in my opinion, similar souls, very sensitive. MJ was very sensitive. And I think the minister could relate, just being, the minister is just genuinely a good person. And MJ was like that. I think they bonded just off of just the sincerity of just being a human being in love for life and love with humanity. I think they bonded on that. And MJ, the difference was that MJ, it was very easy to take advantage of him. And as he told me, years prior, that is the story of his life. People taking advantage of him, people he thought he can trust, taking advantage of him for money. And he gave me examples. He would show me. So from what I know, at a certain point, he asked for the minister's help because he was just being taken advantage of. And Brother Joshua Farrakhan tells me the story of them, of the minister allowing, his son to help, and that's what it was. It was assistance. And, Joshua came and pretty much relieved the security that was charging him so much money. I'm talking like tens of thousands a week for security of like 2 people. They were just, and it's, management letting them do that. And the minister wouldn't charge anything. The minister, that's one thing I learned about the minister being around him by Allah's grace. He's not motivated by money. And I strive to follow him in that example of not doing, I think his quote to me was, "Don't do anything for money." And as I understand it, it's not, you got to work, but as far as your motivation, is doing it for money. But when the brothers come in, the minister didn't take a dime, but when the brothers came in, the brothers slashed the prices by, I don't know how much, but it was a lot of money. The brothers came in and charged him fairly, which he wasn't used to being charged so low. And then that's when I was soon hired and brought in. But he loved the minister for that, up until, the This Is It tour that he didn't live to perform. He was talking about, flying the minister. He was excited about Supreme and his family, coming to London, and he was just excited. And, I remember in his beautiful, his home in California, he wanted to invite the minister, but he was ashamed that it wasn't as glamorous as Neverland. And I remember him talking to me about, like, "Oh, Brother Michael, it's not, I want for the minister, it has to be this, it has to be that. I want to, so he really loved him. And that went back. It went back way before my involvement, just their relationship. But I got to see firsthand how much MJ loved the minister and the minister, and I got to witness how the minister helped him, and I got to witness that because I was a part of that. And I remember being told, treat MJ like you would treat the minister. This was from my superiors when I was working up under them when I first started, because I didn't just jump in as his chief of staff. I worked my way up. But when I first started, just as a brother on security, I remember hearing that, not from the minister, but one of them saying like that we got instructions to treat MJ like you would treat the minister. And I remember thinking like, wow. And we did that. And MJ felt it. And it was the only person to thank was the minister. So I was hired off of the strength that he loved the minister, and him knowing that I was a follower of his. He trusted me, and that trust ended up, being his chief of staff and running his business at that time. So that's how much he loved him.
Wow. And when we have guests on who've been blessed to have the opportunity to be around the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and observe the minister and how he handles people, what he shares with people, I often try to get them to think about, things that they have observed, little stories that they can tell that really shows the beauty of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I want to ask you a question. I'll mention some qualities or just some actions. And if you can think about some things that you have observed that relates to what I'm going to ask you, please feel free to share as many as you can. So I'll start with this. When it comes to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's desire to learn, as a man who has spoken to 2 million men in DC, 5 million people in Iran, and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, he still is a humble student. So can you share anything about how he can still put himself in a place to learn from others?
That is one of the reasons he is who he is. He is from what I've witnessed, he's always learning. And I would say that by this. He humbles himself to be a student. I've seen him, well, one, in the documentary, you get to witness that. You get to witness him being a student of the violin. But I see him, the way he listens to people and the way he asks questions if he doesn't know. And and his willingness to learn something he didn't know. It astonishes. It doesn't matter who the person is. I was blessed to be on the 10-10-15 tour with him and to travel with him to every city with the E-team by Allah's grace, and to sit in some of those meetings and to sit, not to mention where he speaks, but when he's just meeting with somebody and then telling them their problems, and he listens, and I think that's one of the most important things to being a student is just listening. And I haven't seen nobody do that like he does that. And he sincerely listens. He's sincere. He's taking in what you're saying, and he will repeat the question. And he would, after like a 5-minute conversation, he retained it because he was honestly paying attention, and then he gives his best advice. Or if someone's telling him something, he hears and he listens, and then he will learn from it. So I think that quality of being a student, and he says in the documentary that you can't, in order to be a good leader, you must first be a good student. Mm-hmm. And he lives by that. And that is why he is an amazing leader, because we all know him to be the best student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but he's still a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad because they're still feeding him, and he's still humbly taking it. It's not like he's saying, no, I already know what to do. I already know what's going on. He's still guiding us, he's still a student to this day. And that has to be a lesson for all of us, but not only in religion or in the nation, but just in life. And it doesn't matter who the person was. He didn't ask what's your religion. He didn't ask, do you believe in the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad? If there's truth to it, from what I've witnessed from him, if there's truth, he listens and he learns. So that's something beautiful we should all take from him.
What about in regards to his commitment to his family?
I was just watching a lecture the other day, and he talked about, us not judging his family in that lecture because of all his family sacrifices. I've only got a little peek of, his family is sharing their father, or Mother Khadijah, her husband, with an entire nation. And so an entire world. And I would say, from my vantage point, he doesn't take it for granted. He loves his family. man, he loves his family, and his family loves him. So it's just been a great example of how to cherish family, how to respect family, how to love family. And I've witnessed that. He has an immense dedication to his family. And he doesn't, but I would say out of all that, he doesn't take for granted what his family has sacrificed for him. Feels like he's appreciative of his family, as they are of him, of course. But yeah, from that, just showed me you always honor, respect, and you love family, because at the end of the day, it's the Farrakhan and Muhammad family, which is really one family that has been that helped him build the nation to where we are now. So yes, sir.
You mentioned when you all were working on the documentary, how you said there was some you all didn't feel too confident, but you said that he helped to build your confidence. Can you talk about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's ability to motivate and empower people?
Yeah, he carries the spirit of Allah, and he has the power to give you strength. That's there. It's there in you, but he's able to bring it out of you. That was one example. As far as we had the will, we had the desire, but him just giving us the opportunity and believing in us gave us the faith and strength we needed to do what we did. But yeah, brother, just from what I've witnessed, he believes in you. He believes in us, and his belief strengthens our belief. And that's been my experience. Him believing in me, him giving me an opportunity, him really saving my life, and teaching us how to find that strength ourselves, because Allah is the source of all strength. He just helps us understand that. He helped me understand that Allah is the source of strength. But I learned that through him, and through his motivation, I've been able to gain my strength and do, I believe, impossible things, and I'm just getting started. So I would say that, bro. I would say that for sure. Yeah, he has that, but it's out of his love. It's not even like a motivational speaker who's just saying stuff, quoting words. It's out of his love, and you feel his love, and it is, best way to describe it is the love of God. You feel it, you believe it, and that love gives you strength. So out of his love, he believes in you, and he motivates you, and pushes you. So yeah, he does that with all of us, even if he doesn't know you personally. If you listen to his lectures, he challenges you and he pushes you to find that strength within, and he tells you, you can do anything. It's really on us to believe it. But I believe with me, since he believes it, it helps me believe it. And then at this point, it's like, now we got to prove it.
So the title of this show is I Have a Testimony. And, I thank Allah for putting the spirit in me where I want people to see the beauty that Allah has blessed me to see in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and others. If you had the opportunity where you could testify before the whole world, I mean, every person on the planet Earth will be able to hear what you would say about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, what would be one quality of the minister that you would want the whole world to know about, and why that quality?
That's a great question. So many things came to my mind, that one quality. The first thing was love. But love is, I can go on and on about how he's demonstrated love and how that's the power. But I think, what is very important to testify about him is that he lives what he speaks. And I think the best thing we can take, one of the best things we can take from him, is to strive to do the same thing. Because it doesn't matter if we quote the Bible, or we quote the Quran, or we memorize the supreme wisdom. If we're not striving to live the word, And from being blessed to be around him like I have, that I don't take for granted, and I thank Allah for it, every day. I witnessed that is really him. I got to witness that with my eyes. This is him every day. I heard him say, he's not perfect, but I would challenge that, like, okay, maybe, he can't hold his breath forever. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, man, he is, so I guess that's why we say a shining example, because he's an example of what it is, and I think that's what us as not only believers, but as people should take that as far as being a good person. He is just genuinely a good person. We're taught, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, the best religion is to do unto others as you want them to do unto yourselves. Not the exact quote, but the minister lives a life of a person who really does unto others as he would want them to do unto him. He's just a good person. And that's one advice he told me. Just be good. Be a good person. We can debate, we can talk about scriptures and all that, but if you strive to be a good person, and if you strive to follow his example and live the life that was laid down before us, you will be successful. You will have a good life. You will be blessed. And he's an example of it. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. I think it's cliche, but if you take it serious, which I try to, if you take it serious, it'll change your life. If you take it serious, of like really, really strive. And it's bigger, Brother Willie, than just, I was looking at the Supreme Wisdom the other day, and it was talking about using your mathematical language to secure heaven for yourself. Not going to repeat it because I'll probably get it wrong. I can't do it word for word right now, but I was reading that, and and mathematics. There's so many layers to mathematics, but it's a formula. It's more than just studying scripture. It's more than just going to a religious place. It has, it's work, it's faith, it's all these that make up one formula. And the minister, from what I've seen, he lives it, and he does that formula from, you don't see him getting up praying. He does that. You don't see him being a good person at home, and he is that. You don't see him in meetings. I've witnessed him, pay for stuff for people, funerals, and stuff that you would never know. People's lives change because of we bless. We try our best to give to number two poor, but he gives it right back out. I got to work with Sister Amina and see some of the accounting as far as how generous he is, and he's amazing. And you would never know how many people he helped, but that's all a part of the formula. It's like, just don't give because everybody's looking. Like, try to live a life of being good when people aren't looking. And that's what I've witnessed from him. He's a good person when people aren't looking. He's the real deal. And if we strive to be like him, to be a good person, to try to live the life as taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and couple that with work, couple that with actually do some work, not when people are looking, not just Sundays and not just Mondays or Wednesdays and Fridays, but try to do some real work to help pass and teach this word of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You will be successful. And that's what he teaches us. And, we have to now take it from talking it and bring it into existence. And that's what he's inspired me to do. He's inspired me to, do what he's done as far as prove the word. That's where I'm at. I want to prove that we have the supreme knowledge and wisdom that can help the entire world. So yeah, Brother Willie, man, I have, I can't count. And this is, I say this with all humility, and I look back to when I didn't even know the minister, as far as I never met him. But my journey, by Allah's grace, I can't count how many times I've had dinner. I can't count how many meetings I've been in with him. I can't count how many times I've been in, his private home and are in hotel suites being blessed to do security in the room. I can't even count it. And from all that, I've heard him say great things to people, and I've seen miracles in front of my eyes. I've seen people cry and change their lives in front of him. I've witnessed that. And what I took from all that, the best testimony I can give people is that he really lives it. And until we're willing to accept that, we're just saying we believe. We're just going through the motions of, let me give my charity because I don't want national to see it, or let me give my attendance because let me just call in. So that until you really live it, he lives it. Like, he doesn't fake it, man. That was what I got to see. That's what I could testify, witness from my eyes. He lives it every day, and he tells us we can do it too. It's really hard. That's what I'm learning. It's really hard, but if you keep striving every day, strive to master yourself, then you can master anything out there. So he's given me that strength to feel like, I've seen him master, from my eyes, from my vantage point, master himself, master anything he's put his mind to. I've seen him, and you'll see in the documentary, picking up a violin after not touching it for over 2 decades and mastering it in his spare time after running a nation. He's showing us that we can master anything we put our minds to. It's no reason for us to be in a bad condition. We now just have to do what he's done, not talk about him, not repeat quotes from him, even though that's part of it, but it's live the life and be a good person, man. I can't stress it enough, Brother Willie, man. But
every when they talk about, if you ever hear people talk about like a chandelier or even a diamond, depending on what position we're looking at that chandelier and that diamond from, will determine what color we see. Like some people look at a chandelier, what color you see? I see blue, and and they see all of that, and all of us, Allah blesses all of us to be able to see a certain aspect of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And one of the things that you are doing a very good job of stressing is the minister is who he is. Who he is in the public, he's even that more in the private. And I think about in the lessons, he's speaking grammatically correct, because his actions line up with what his words are. And that's an example for all of us to strive. Now, you're sitting in I would imagine that's the studios for the NFA, right?
Yes, sir. This is our headquarters.
Can you tell us, how did that come about, and what's the ultimate goal? What's the future plan?
Yes, sir. Well, yeah, NFA Studios stands for Never Fall Again, which was an idea that we, it's not just me, it's a team of us. I'm one of the co-founders, but it's as the messenger said, message to the black man, get 6 to 8 like-minded and come up with a business. Of course, not in those words, but yeah, 8 of us came together. This was an idea that was conceived in 2014, and just seeing where things were going back then, we felt it was time to establish our own platform that was dedicated to spread and teach, spread the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The idea was starting with his lectures. So, it went through a lot of different phases, man. It went through a lot of different phases. I want to give a shout out to the National Council of the Nation of Islam, because, we flew out to Chicago. We were, striving to become one, because that has our desire has always been just to spread the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So yeah, it was just an idea of like, man, like, you got Netflix, we need our own Netflix. It was something like that simple in 2014. And then you have all the ministers' lectures that the world we felt that YouTube was going to, at a certain point, attack him as far as digitally, take him down, remove him, because the word is too powerful. This was 2014. By 2016, 2017, by 2017, we had developed it. And we're here because of the minister, just plain and simple, man. The minister moved me to Chicago in 2014 to assist with his archive, and I worked closely with the Final Call, and he helped this entire process, as far as guidance, because I was bringing me and his son, was bringing this to him, every few months we was here. He's like, okay, now what about this? And he was just kind of giving us encouragement, guidance, but he made us do it. He didn't. It wasn't an instruction from him. This was like, he watched us manifest it with his guidance and with his help. Couldn't have done it without him. But the whole goal was for the minister's lectures. The vision of it is for the minister's lectures to have a home. And the minister is gracious enough to give us, to allow us to get a certain amount of lectures per month as we build and grow the platform. But the vision of it is for the minister's lectures to have a home, for it to be archived, for it to be transcribed. So you can type in the word Mother Will and look at every lecture where it says he talks about Mother Will or Jesus, so that the minister has thousands of lectures, thousands upon thousands of lectures. And YouTube only had a couple hundred last I went and thoroughly counted. And they took down more from that since they're slowly getting, trying to erase the minister from YouTube. So that was the reason. Yes, sir. Oh man. Okay.
That's the last. We're on the last question.
Well, someone just came here, but
all right.
Next door.
He's next door. All right. Who was it?
Yeah,
know.
Jack. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that was and then from NFA. Okay, go run around. I'll be there in a second. Sorry about that, Brother Willie.
No, man. Listen, hey, that's family, my brother. That's family, and that's a part of it, man. That is family. That's a part of it.
Yes, sir.
And for those go ahead.
Yes, sir. Well, yes, sir. The vision is to have the minister's lectures, and then we want to get into original content, and that's what we've been doing now, and that's what we've been doing for the past few years, is stories that we can relate to, and stories that help our people, and preserve our history. That's been the main thing.
Mm-hmm. And so, how could those who are watching, those who are Muslims and those who are not quote unquote Muslims, but we know, how could they help?
1 second. Yo, you here? Idris.
And so for those who are watching, make sure you all go and subscribe to www.nfastudios.com so that you can go and take out a subscription. Because most of us got subscriptions for Hulu and all the, I don't even want to say all their names, and you ain't watching all of those type of documentaries and all of that type of stuff. So make sure you go out and get your subscription. And for those who are watching right now, if you can, I'm big on this. Can you just type a few? What's your feedback? Thank you. I want to give a shout out. I like doing this. Give a shout out to our people who are watching and have been giving feedback, but just leave some comments. I want to thank you, Brother Vincent Foley, if I'm pronouncing that right. Sister Rose, got Sister Rhea. Thank you. Sister Wendy Muhammad from Sajda House. Make sure you go and follow her on IG. I think it's I don't want to say the IG, but it's MOE. I done missed it, but type in Wendy Muhammad on Instagram and go and follow our sister. Brother Vernon, thank you for tuning in, my brother. Brother Michael Weber, thank you for tuning in. Josette, Be More Go 1, thank you for tuning in. J2120, I think that is, or is it just MOE? Sister Wendy, type it in so we can give the shout out. Got Brother Jalila, thank you for tuning in. Got Aisha, thank you for tuning in. Miss Phoenix 91, thank you for tuning in. The Cut Professor,
Hey,
either you're a barber or you're a DJ. Josette, Dante, Valerie, Wendy again, Lee, Frank, Vernon. I appreciate all of you all. Thank you all. Leave your comments. What are you getting from the interview? And our brother is back. So how can people support NFA?
Well, thank you for your patience, Brother Willie, and everybody watching. So yeah, NFA is your platform. This is for us. This was created for our nation. Tell our stories. As the minister gave us the vision of edutainment. Brother Willie, did you get to watch that video I sent you?
Yes, definitely.
He helped us guide us the vision of it. The vision is a classroom to teach the world. You know, it's from cooking to relationships but we're doing it in a entertainment form. So I ask everyone, you know, because there's no reason why we can't have our own movies, scripted movies, that we got to let them tell the story of Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and they want to tell the story of the minister. They're itching and scratching to make a movie about him, and the devil should not have his hands on that. We have to tell our own stories. But you know, this is a tech company. You know, in theory, because of our apps that we have and everything we do, we're a tech and production company. And usually, you go to Silicon Valley, you go to venture capitalists, and you raise money. It's like the Vanguard company owns most of Facebook. They own most of Netflix. They're a big corporation, but they're the ones who do privatized prisons. We can't have these people having interest in our company, you know. So we have to go to you all, those who want to see this kind of entertainment, those who want to see your own stories, your own movies, your own comedies, your own game shows, you know, and that's what we're here to do. You know, the best way to support is one, go subscribe. Go to nfastudios.com and subscribe. It's free to start. Check it out, see what we're doing. But more importantly, if you want to see this grow and you want to be a part of it, because it is growing, it's going to grow. We're starting our scripted, you know, we're starting our films. We're in that process right now. And if you want to be a part of it, you know, subscribe, and then also go to our GoFundMe. It's gofundme.com/f/NFA Studios. We'll send the link. And give whatever you can. You know, what you can give is appreciative. But our mission is to have our own, because at a certain point, the enemy already started, you know, taking the minister, the official Nation of Islam page, and the official Final Call page off of Final Call. They're just slowly doing it so it's not an uproar. They waited a long time, then they're going to wait a little bit. The algorithms already changed. There's a lot of stuff off of YouTube already, quietly. So they're trying to remove him. So we're coming, so we don't need them. At a certain point, it's like we got to have our own. So we just started live streaming, and it's a lot because we are fully independent, from top to bottom, from website to apps to servers. We are independent, so they can't pull the plug. And if they do, we have backups. So anything you all can give is appreciative. But subscribe and enjoy the content. If you want to be a part of it, you know, send the email info@nfastudios.com. If you want to donate, if you want to give a tax deductible donation, we got that as well. So yeah, Brother Willie, just the main thing is just get on, start watching content, and subscribe.
Wow. Well, we thank you, brother, for taking the time out to grant us this interview. And you can see in the comments, people are enjoying it. They're loving the stories that you shared, to show what somebody said, the humanity of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and just the inspiration. So we thank you, brother. As we get ready to close, I want to give a shout out to the brothers behind the board, Brother Mike and our brother Reginald. Thank you all, brothers, and thank everybody that's been tuning in. And we ask that you all get ready to tune in, inshallah, on this coming Sunday, where we're scheduled to have Dougie Fresh. And then, inshallah, the following Sunday, we have something special lined up, which is right in the call with something the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has asked that he wanted to see done. So we're going to strive to our best to do so. So we thank you all for tuning in. And so I have a testimony. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section and follow us on social media. This is your brother Willie Muhammad with the National Network View. Peace.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.